Hey, this is Jets Chaos here, and we got a great show coming. We're going to compare the top quarterbacks coming out of the 2024 draft. We're going to look at their film, check them out, and decide who is the best quarterback coming out. And are any of them going to be in part of the draft where the Jets might be interested? Who's going to be taking who? Who's smart for taking who? Who's not so smart for taking who? We're going to go all over that when we come back right after this. And we are back. And I'm not going to do this alone. Let me introduce my partner, the man, the GM, or should be the GM of the New York Jets, Tony. What's going on, Tony?
How are you, Jeremy?
I'm good. I'm ready to look at quarterbacks.
Now, we talked about quarterbacks before. A lot goes into drafting an actual quarterback. The background check that you need to do is a lot that goes in. Before you even start looking at a quarterback, you need to look at the situation the quarterback comes from. The level of competition that he's playing, and his supporting cast. It's like you're comparing. You have to make the playing field equal when you're comparing quarterbacks. Most people, they look at statistics. They'll say, oh, wow, this guy threw for 40 touchdowns with 3 interceptions. But he's not playing top quality competition. If you want to pick a quarterback, you need to pick him from the right tree. He needs to be able to show you all the traits of a quarterback. But before you even start looking at that, you definitely need to look at where you're picking them from, because it shows a lot. Perfect example is Trey Lance, right?
Yeah.
Great quarterback, physical tools, great arm. He could run. He's throwing all day to a wide open Watson behind a pro offensive line against weak competition. Where is Trey Lance now?
He's the backup in Dallas.
Right. He was drafted too early. You don't want to give up on him. Not yet. But he was overdrafted. That's what's wrong with drafting a quarterback. And that starts with situation. You need to take a real deep look at what a player's playing with. Most of these people, when they look in the armchair quarterbacks, they're like, wow, did you see that touchdown? They only think of, oh, wow, it's a touchdown. They fall in love with a particular play, but they're not comparing it to the actual competition they're playing against and so forth. Correct?
Correct.
Okay, now we're going to start with, I guess we'll start backwards. We'll start with the one that Bo Nix. He comes from the actual best situation to put a quarterback in. Wouldn't you say so?
Yeah, I mean, that's playing in the Pac-10, playing against weak pass defenses. I would say that's a pretty good situation. Most of the games, if you look a majority of his games, Oregon is they're just, the competition is just not up to that level that they are. So their offensive line was very difficult to penetrate. Their wide receiver Franklin was uncoverable by a lot of those teams out in the West Coast.
Right. Now, the top rated pass blocking offensive line was in the country.
Who's that?
Take a wild guess.
Oregon.
Right.
Right.
You know who the second ranked run blocking?
Oregon.
Exactly.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. Now, you mentioned his wide receiver, Franklin, correct?
Yeah.
How many other pros does he have there? He has a running back, Bucky Irvin, that's going to be a pro.
Mm-hmm.
He has the best center in the draft, right?
Oh
Rich
yeah,
Johnson?
yeah. He's awesome.
Right. He also has Ted Johnson, who's going to be a pro, and he looks like he's a big time speed receiver.
Hmm.
He's in a perfect situation. He has all day to throw, and he's throwing to wide open receivers all day.
Yep.
Now you got to look at 65% of his yardage came after the catch.
Yeah.
That's an insane amount. It doesn't work that way in the pros.
Right.
He played absolutely. He played Washington. Had one defensive player that might get drafted. You know who he is?
For Washington,
Right.
there's a linebacker. His name is I know that I can't pronounce his first name, but he asked people. I actually met him at the Senior Bowl to call him Eddie Forshino or Forshano. He's a
They
linebacker who's
also have
pretty good
a
linebacker.
defensive end named Trice who's going to be drafted.
Right. So they have
Okay.
but even that linebacker is like he's not in the top 100. I don't think.
Right. They're not. He's not playing anybody. He doesn't have one top 50 pass defense that he played against the entire year. You go back to his past history. He played Georgia, LSU back in the day, Alabama. He didn't look good in those games. Makes a big difference. What do you think on Bo Nix?
Yeah. No, I think I think we'd have to watch his tape to see if there's anything that pops out, because certainly I'm not going to get blown away by his numbers based on the offensive line, the running game, the competition he played against. That's I'm not going to, a box score is not going to tell me that he's a leading quarterback.
Right, exactly. Now also, his depth of target, he's throwing it less than 7 yards downfield. The better quarterbacks in his draft are throwing it over 10.
Yeah.
So if you look at everything, you go look at every single touchdown he ever had in 5 years of football, they're all the same thing. He's never, ever pressured. He steps back in a protected pocket. He's throwing it to a wide open receiver. And a lot of them have yards after catch. He's in a perfect situation. Let's go to the next one.